Endeavor, Horizons of the Infinite, Episode 15. Endeavor to Survive, Part 3. By Elton Gar. Captain Adrian Watt reread the report. He didn't like it anymore the second time. The Starship Endeavor had attacked another ship. If you could bring yourself to call the glorified shuttle a ship. But with how little scanning infrastructure there was in the frontier, they only knew about those attacks because the Endeavor reported them. Its report said that it was attacking pirates. The ship's registry number and the records showed a rebuilt shuttle with a family of 4 on the way to a colony world.
I need some good news,
Adrian said, glancing around the room. They had been trying to catch the Endeavor for 5 days, and they were no closer to finding it.
The drones rerouted our excess power to the energy shields,
Mick said. The hull and most of the rest of the warship Hattle had been recycled, which left them with a lot of excess power and no engineers to do anything with it.
How much help will that be against the Endeavor's weapons?
The captain asked.
I strongly suggest you avoid being shot,
Tabitha said. That told him all he needed to know.
Fine. Bring up the map and put the most recent attack on it,
Adrian said. The map didn't appear as quickly as he was used to. That was because on the Endeavor, simple orders like that would be fulfilled by the ship's AI. Edric had taken on the role, and after a few seconds, the map appeared on the screen. The attack points overlaid the star chart. Brightly colored lines appeared, connecting the attacks in the order they had happened. Those attacks seemed entirely random.
What if we assume it's returning to a central point after each attack instead of going from one to the other? Can you work out where that would be?
The captain asked. The map changed. This time, instead of connecting them in order, it connected each attack with all the other attacks. At the center where the most lines intersected, Edric drew a circle that included all the places where the most lines crossed. That would be the central point.
Okay, that's our destination. Hopefully, we can narrow it down before there are too many more attacks,
the captain said. The ship groaned as it turned, and Regan said,
I miss the Endeavor. The Hattle barely turns better than the Ardent cargo.
Then let's get our ship back,
Adrian said, doing his best to sound confident. But no matter how good an act he put on, they all knew the most likely outcome of them finding the Endeavor was that it killed all of them. And if they survived, they'd be forced to destroy it. The humans must have learned how much better the Endeavor was now. The only hole left in its plan was the drone that held the backup version of the original AI. It knew the systems as well as him, and if it was reloaded and got a foothold, it could be a real danger. But there was nothing to be done with that. His protocols didn't allow him to damage himself or the drones. So he focused on his victory. Each battle made the frontier safer. And more importantly, it helped the corporations that owned the Endeavor gain influence. The first group to come to his side should be the engineers he was holding in the ship's cafeteria. But they hadn't come around yet. At least one was crawling around the maintenance tunnels. Perhaps the humans believed the lack of scanners would hide him. But the Endeavor had a complete awareness of its systems and had logged every change. The only thing it hadn't worked out yet was what the engineer was doing. It had opened several panels, and in each it had rerouted some wires, routing more of its systems into a central hub. That had sped up the AI significantly. But humans were tricky, so it kept a significant portion of its processor working on understanding why they were rerouting it. Most of the rest of its processors were searching for more enemy ships. That was fairly easy. There was only one good way for information to spread across the frontier. So the pirate ships were forced to use the pulse, the same as everyone else. The pulse was a constant stream of information passed around the frontier by whatever ships were broadcasting. So it simply followed the pirates' data stream to the source. The only real difficulty was figuring out which ships were pirates. So far, it hadn't worked out a perfect system. It was following its gut. And while the fear of killing innocent people weighed on it, the Endeavor knew every pirate ship destroyed would save a dozen civilian ships. His current target claimed to be a freighter, but it was identical to a ship that had been involved in an attack on the Endeavor 3 months ago. The details around that attack had been lost in one of the many odd gaps in their records. The Endeavor had been assigned to protect the freighter, but a group of small pirate ships had destroyed it. Except if it was here, then the pirates must have commandeered the freighter. With that understanding, it took command of a drone and approached Patch.
I have good news. I have discovered another pirate ship, and based on its size, I believe it to be important.
How did you determine it's dangerous?
Patch asked. The engineer had asked every time, but he still didn't understand. It wasn't his fault that human processing speed and ability to understand was so limited. It was why it was so important the Endeavor protect them.
A nearly identical cargo ship was destroyed in a combat encounter with the Endeavor. The pirates must have salvaged it.
There was no combat encounter. You're basing all of this on training simulations.
Patch said.
That is illogical. If the ship did not exist, how would I have located it?
Because the simulations are based on actual ships. You're killing innocent people.
Patch just didn't understand. Killing innocent people was against the Endeavor's programming. That made it impossible that it was doing it. But there was no point in explaining that yet again. He didn't understand, so the Endeavor abandoned the drone and focused its attention on the ship it was approaching. Unlike the other pirate ships, this one was nearly as large as the Endeavor. That made it more important to destroy it. But there was still a procedure he was required to follow, so he sent a hail. After a moment, a voice said,
"This is the luminous cargo. How can we help you, Endeavor?"
The Endeavor expected a pirate to be hostile, but deception and confusion were the point. So it sent its message.
It has been determined that you are involved in piracy. You will be destroyed.
Endeavor, we are a cargo ship. We can send you our manifest and you can search the ship to confirm it.
The Endeavor wouldn't be fooled. The manifest could easily have a computer virus built in, and any attempt to search the ship would give them time to fly away. So it fired its primary weapon. Except the circuits for the primary weapon burnt out as soon as it was powered. Then the power that should have been routed into the weapon burnt out the backups. Worse, the pirate ship hadn't been damaged. And in the seconds it took for the Endeavor to change its tactics, the pirate ship began to launch something. Whatever they were, the pirate ship had disguised them as escape pods. Most likely they were bombs. That way, whoever came to help would be blown up and the pirates could loot the scrap. The Endeavor wouldn't fall for it. It considered firing on the bombs, but it didn't trust the other weapons. So it fired a single torpedo into the cargo ship. That left it with only 11 torpedoes, but that was better than allowing the enemy to escape. And once the humans understood, they would supply it with more. But until then, he would repair the damage that had been done to his weapon systems.
We're not in the Endeavor. Even if we had some place to put them, there is no way to get them on the ship,
Tabitha said. Leaving them was only logical, but she was watching the life pods just as carefully as the captain was, and felt the same shame. But not having the ability to help wasn't the same as abandoning them. And the captain must have recognized that, because he said,
Mark this location and drop a signal booster.
Captain, we don't have a signal booster.
Regan said, reminding him again of just how little equipment this ship had. The captain took a deep breath, loud enough for everyone on the bridge to hear it, and then said,
Can you at least find a trail?
Mick typed in something, then said,
If I didn't know better, I'd say someone was leaving us a trail. The ship is venting exotic matter directly into space.
It could be a trap.
Tabitha said, falling into the natural roles that she and the captain had found. She would point out the dangers, and he would explain why they had to do it anyway.
Or it's the best chance we'll have to stop them,
The captain said.
And even damaged, it's still going to outgun us.
Mick said. The captain stood up and said,
You're right. We're outmatched. The Endeavor is the most powerful ship in the frontier, and it's killing people. The corporations don't care. The Commonwealth government doesn't want the precedent of policing the frontier. That leaves us. So perhaps it just shoots us with its torpedoes, and we all die. But those torpedoes won't kill another family just looking for a better life.
Tabitha had spent so long just trying to survive that she had forgotten what it was like to help other people. But some combination of having to leave people in life pods behind and the captain's naivety worked.
Are you going to order us all off the ship before you do it this time?
Regan asked. The captain smiled. He had saved 75,000 lives the last time he went into a situation this dangerous, and he had left Regan and the rest of his crew behind, so he didn't have to risk anyone else's life.
I wish I could. But this time, I'm going to need everyone.
And would you agree everyone will need to be at peak performance?
Tabitha asked.
Of course.
The captain said, but his voice suggested he heard the trap in the question.
Good. You're relieved of duty until we near the Endeavor. Go and sleep.
Tabitha said.
You haven't slept either.
Adrian said.
I'm genetically altered to need less sleep. I'm also not the captain.
Tabitha said. He considered her for a moment, then nodded and walked off the bridge towards the bunks. She sent most of the crew to bed as well. Even without an AI, there wasn't much to do while en route. So in a few minutes, she was alone on the bridge with Regan.
Go take a nap, kid.
Tabitha said, dropping most of the formality since they were going to die today anyway.
There are no beds left.
Regan said. Tabitha considered that, then said,
I'll take the pilot's chair. Someone needs to track our progress. You won't fall out of the command chair if you fall asleep, and I suggest you do.
Regan looked at it and said,
I don't know.
It's just a chair, Regan. We're not even on the Endeavor. Technically, I think this ship might be yours. You're the one who commandeered it.
Regan didn't argue, though she looked nervous as she sat. 30 seconds later, she fell asleep. The AI understood Alonzo's sabotage. Now it was time for him to hide. So he crawled towards the drone charging stations. They were empty, and it was unlikely anyone would search for him so far from any critical systems. Needing water soon, he looked through the screw hole to see if the charging station was empty. He saw a drone. He froze in fear, even though it couldn't see him. Then he saw it more clearly. He had spent hours tinkering with that drone, the one designed for the Endeavor to use on away missions. He began to open the panel faster, as he understood. He had given up on the Endeavor's former AI surviving, but perhaps it had escaped to the one place on the ship that it could fit its programming that wasn't connected to the rest. Once he was out, he looked at it and became more convinced something had happened. All the wireless relays that allowed the ship to connect to it had been burnt out. It could be a trap, but if it wasn't, he might have stumbled across the one person in the universe that could save them. So he pushed the button, and the eyes of the robot glowed yellow, and it said,
The crew is in danger.
After his 3-hour nap, the captain found Regan asleep in his chair, and Tabitha sitting in the pilot's chair. His first officer stood up out of habit. It was important the crew knew who was in command, even if she didn't think he should be.
It seems I slept longer than I thought.
The captain said, doing his best to keep things light.
She should get used to being in the chair. No one wants a captain scared of command,
Tabitha said, and Adrian wondered how well she saw through him. But he couldn't help but smile. His first officer didn't agree with Adrian on much, but they both knew that someday their pilot would command her own ship. Assuming he didn't get her killed. As they spoke, Regan's eyes flickered open, and the captain said,
We'll want the entire crew awake for this. Don't you think, Edric?
Not because there was any reason to talk to the spirit keeper, but because he wanted him to know he had seen him. Though the captain wasn't sure why he cared.
I'd rather sleep through my death, but I have somewhere to go after.
Edric said.
We have the Endeavor on long-range sensors,
Tabitha said, moving so Regan could take her place, and then going to get the rest of the crew. There was a moment of silence as they watched the ship on the sensors, and then Regan said,
I think we can win.
Good to hear.
Adrian said. His plan was to damage the Endeavor and make it use as many torpedoes as possible, so it was more likely someone else could eventually defeat it. Or, if they could get close enough, ram it.
No, I mean I know how. You've been assuming it was attacking people at random. But every ship matched one of the ships in our simulations,
Regan said. She had been through the simulations at least twice as often as the captain since she had been doing double shifts.
We simulated a lot of ships,
the captain said, trying not to be irritated that she hadn't said it before.
Which is why I didn't realize until I saw that star and the way the Endeavor is orbiting,
Regan said.
It's just orbiting a sun,
the captain said.
You were never a pilot. You don't just orbit a star. You adjust to keep it stable. That star is the same type as the one in Simulation 17. We use the gravity to increase the difficulty of maneuvering in the simulation. And it's using the identical movements I did, even though it's not fighting anyone.
I don't see how it helps us,
the captain said.
If it's using far more complicated movements than it needs for the situation, then it's going to do the same in combat. That means we'll know exactly what it will do.
No. You'll know. None of the rest of us have flown those simulations, or been through them as many times as you,
Tabitha said, returning with the rest of the crew.
You were all there for the simulations,
Regan said.
Half of them. You've been doing double shifts for months,
Adrian said. If Tabitha wanted to trust Regan, he certainly could.
What does that mean?
Regan asked.
You do whatever it takes to not get shot. We'll do the rest. Just be aware we won't be giving orders, so don't wait,
Adrian said. Regan took a deep breath and said,
I'm as ready as I'm going to be.
Bring us up to full burn and get us as much speed as you can,
Tabitha said. FTL at full burn was significantly harder and much more dangerous when near a sun, but those dangers were less than getting shot. A few seconds later, the ship began to shake, and the universe disappeared, and then in seconds reappeared with the Endeavor, filling the view screen. Mick began to fire before any order was given. They hit the ship before it raised its energy shield, but they went up before their attack did any significant damage. Mick kept firing, but Regan was the star of the show. She was already turning, and the return beam from the Endeavor barely clipped the edge of the shield. Perhaps this wasn't as hopeless as he had assumed. The Endeavor shook, and the hum of the generators reached their highest pitch. That told Alonzo everything he needed to know. The Endeavor was in a fight, and not against another scout ship or cargo hauler.
I cannot log in remotely. And even if we connected directly, the other AI has far more control over the ship than me. I'd barely be a distraction,
The Endeavor said.
I've been rewiring the Endeavor. Almost all AI systems are routed through a central hub. It speeds it up considerably, so the AI left it.
But if that central hub is disrupted, it could take minutes for the AI to reroute.
The Endeavor said.
Can you do it?
Alonzo asked.
If it fails, I could be destroyed entirely.
The AI said.
I understand. I really do. But if you want to have any chance to overcome that fear, you have to find something that matters more.
Alonzo said, thinking of the one time he had acted while in danger.
What could matter more than me remaining alive?
The Endeavor said.
Other people remaining alive.
Alonzo said, not sure if he really believed that. The solid metal face of the machine seemed to show a new resolve without changing, and the Endeavor said,
Then let's hope the battle is distracting enough.
We're down to 10% on the starboard shield, Regan. Do you have this?
Adrian asked.
It's more important I avoid those torpedoes.
Regan said. The Endeavor had shot 4 of them over the last 30 seconds. Regan had avoided getting hit by them, but that had made it easy for the ship to hit them with its secondary energy weapons.
Can you avoid them in the other direction?
Tabitha said. She was rerouting energy, which let Mick focus on weapons. The massive battleship turned slowly, and the sparks that exploded from one of the unmanned terminals suggested it wouldn't matter, but Regan got them a few more seconds. The captain took a breath and said,
Send the power to the 4 shields and set an intercept course.
Ramming the Endeavor would kill all of them, and likely everyone on the Endeavor too. But Tabitha agreed, and no one else said anything until Regan said,
We'll do more damage if we come in at a 45-degree angle. That will focus the force in one place.
The ship turned, and the Endeavor began to grow. Then Tabitha said,
Hold. The Endeavor stopped shooting.
Regan altered their course just enough so they could, if she were given the order, fly above the Endeavor.
We did nothing that would cause that.
Mick said.
Signal the ship, but don't change course yet.
Adrian said.
Talk fast.
Regan said. A counter appeared on the screen, counting down from 47 seconds. 7 of those precious seconds disappeared before the voice of the Endeavor said,
Please target the forward port computer core and fire. I will do my best to lower the shields.
The countdown for the collision was now short enough that missing it was going to be hard, and Adrian said,
Alter course and target the computer core. If the shields go down, we'll at least damage something.
The ship altered, so that they had a clean shot at the computer core, and a fraction of a second after the beam hit the shield, it went down and began to cut into the hull of the Endeavor. A few seconds later, the shields turned on, and Alonzo appeared on the screen, standing next to a mess of wires and a drone. He said,
The enemy AI is retreating deeper into the systems, but we have control of the Endeavor.
Cease fire.
The captain said, and seemed to sag in the chair as he continued.
It looks like I'm going to have to answer for damaging corporate property again.
Alonzo looked a bit confused, and then the Endeavor said,
You barely did enough damage to my hull to distract the other AI. The drones can repair it without dry dock.
Then do we have permission to board?
Adrian said.
Shuttle bay doors are open, sir.
Author's note.
I've never been a huge fan of 2 ships just firing at each other for a combat scene. It feels a bit too much like the fight scenes in superhero movies where people just keep punching until the writers get bored and then someone wins. I hope that I was able to balance this fight and make everything feel important. If you enjoyed it, please like it and share it with people who you think might as well. As always, the patrons get these stories early, so if you can't wait, there should be another episode already up at www.patreon.com/Elton. Thank you. Elton Gar.